In today's class we shall start about integrals, which is the last topic known as limit of the sum of a series. That means we need to evaluate definite integral by using this particular concept, that means limit of the sum of a series. Here we need to remember small working rule. What is that working rule means? Integral a to b f of x dx is equal to limit h tends to 0 h into summation r is equal to 1 to n f of a plus rh, where nh is equal to b minus a and n is tending to infinity. Right? Here we need to take the function whose integral is to be found as f of x. Now I go by an example. What is the example means? Evaluate integral 1 to 3 2x plus 3 dx. Here our function is f of x. So here I am doing, you need to observe carefully. Here f of x is 2x plus 3. What is our lower limit? 1. What is our upper limit? 3. And here nh means what is telling? b minus a. b minus a means 3 minus 1, that is equal to 2. And always n is tending to infinity, that is clear to us. Therefore, what is our formula? Integral a to b f of x dx is equal to limit h tends to 0 h into summation r is equal to 1 to n f of a plus rh. So what happens? Limit h tends to 0, h as it is, summation r is equal to 1 to n f of a plus rh. f of a plus rh means 2 into a plus rh plus 3. That means x ki jagah mein I am substituting a plus rh. So later what happens? That is equal to limit h tends to 0 h into summation r is equal to 1 to n 2 into, in place of a I need to write 1 plus rh plus 3. Now later limit h tends to 0 h into summation r is equal to 1 to n 2 plus 3 5 plus 2rh for us. Now I shall be using all summation properties. So what happens later? I will try to use more space, that is equal to limit h tends to 0. I think summation r is equal to n 5. 5 means 5 into summation r is equal to 1 to n 1. So what happens? This becomes h into 5n plus limit h tends to 0 limit h tends to 0 h into summation r is equal to 1 to n 2rh. I think you are clear. The one which is outside I have distributed to the things which are inside. That means 5 into the whole thing plus 2rh into the whole thing. But here summation r is equal to 1 to n 5 means 5n. So later what happens? Limit h tends to 0. This is 5nh plus h will be coming outside. H will be coming outside means h square, because here we are going to apply limit h tends to 0. This is h square and 2 will be outside. Summation r is equal to 1 to n. R means what? N into n plus 1 by 2. If you could observe carefully, this particular h square can be distributed inside. So how I will be distributing means limit h tends to 0 5nh plus limit h tends to 0. See here very beautifully I will be writing here nh, and if you could observe carefully nh, again one h outside, plus h, nh plus h whole divided by nothing is there, 2 I made cancel. So if you could observe carefully, h if you take outside also there remains h square, there is no loss for us. But nh के स्थान में in place of nh I can write 2. Therefore 5 into 2 will be 10. and limit h tends to 0, 10 means 10 only. And here also plus nh, in place of nh I can write 2, here also what, 2, and h as it is. So what happens, limit h tends to 0, 2 into 2 plus h. Now 2 2s are 4, 4 plus 2h, and limit h tends to 0, that part will become equal to 0. So what happens, our final result will be 10 plus 4, that is equal to 14. It's a very lamba process, but you should remember because they will ask for our 4-mark question. Once again I am repeating, we need to consider the function whose integral to be found as f of x, and we need to apply the formula integral a to b f of x dx is equal to limit h tends to 0 h into summation r is equal to 1 to n f of a plus rh, where nh is equal to b minus a and n is always tending to infinity. So once again I am explaining this problem. We need to take f of x is equal to 2x plus 3, where a is equal to 1, b is equal to 3, and nh is equal to b minus a, that is equal to 3 minus 1, 2. So integral a to b f of x dx is equal to limit h tends to 0 h into summation r is equal to 1 to n f of a plus rh. So f of a plus rh means x ki jagah mein a plus rh is there. So in place of x I substituted a plus rh, and rest goes as calculation. If you could observe carefully, nh is equal to b minus a we used in the process here, if you could observe carefully, right? Thank you. Please copy it so that we can go for next problem. Now we shall be seeing the last problem of the integrals, and the last pattern, evaluate integral 0 to 1 x square dx as limit of the sum. Similarly, here also we need to take the function as f of x whose integral is to be found. So here as usual I will be doing here f of x is equal to x square, a is equal to 0, b is equal to 1, and nh is nothing but b minus a. So nh is nothing but 1 minus 0, that is equal to 1. Therefore integral of 0 to 1 x square dx is equal to, we need to write the formula limit h tends to 0 h into summation r is equal to 1 to n f of a plus rh. So as usual, limit h tends to 0 h. So in place of x I need to substitute a plus rh. So summation r is equal to 1 to n a plus rh whole square. So here a means again I need to substitute 0. So because lower limit is 0, so limit h tends to 0 h, summation r is equal to 1 to n, in place of a 0, 0 plus rh whole square. So what happens, limit h tends to 0 h into summation r is equal to 1 to n r square h square we are getting. I think as we are doing summation with respect to r, h square comes outside and there remains h cube. So what happens, limit h tends to 0 h cube into summation r is equal to 1 to n r square. So what happens, here I am doing limit h tends to 0 h cube, summation r is equal to 1 to n r square. R square means sum of squares of first n natural numbers. Sum of squares of first n natural numbers means n into n plus 1 into 2n plus 1 by 6. Now here what I will be doing means limit h tends to 0, h cube is there, so I will be distributing h like this. I think so that if I take h common, finally I will be getting h cube. I think everyone you are clear. But now in place of nh I can substitute 1. So limit h tends to 0, 1 here, and here 1 here, and here h here, and here 2 into 1 means 2 plus h whole divided by 6. but now limit h tends to 0, so this becomes 0, this becomes 0, so finally we will be getting 2 by 6, 2 by 6 means 1 by 3. Now how can we verify also? I'll be telling. We know that integral of 0 to 1 x square dx is what? Here verification, I'll be telling verification, because you people know how to do. Integral 0 to 1 x square dx means what? X cube by 3 from the limits where to where? 0 to 1. So what happens? Upper limit substituting 1 by means 1 by 3, lower limit substituting means 0 by 3. Finally I'll be getting 1 by 3. So this answer and this answer should get matched. So I think you followed how to do definite integrals using limit of the sum of a series, right?
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.